Hello and welcome. I'm Gargi Rawat and you're watching me on youtube.com/NDTV, and we ask you every day about the stories that you want to know more about, and we give you the top 5 stories of the day. And today, of course, the big story that's going to be on air all day today is the US President Donald Trump. He's arrived in India for this 2-day visit. It's going to be a whirlwind visit and we'll have more on that. He is in Ahmedabad. He's visited the Sabarmati Ashram and he's on his way to the stadium. So grand welcome for the US President. Clear Sheinberg pleas in the top court, and this is a continuation of the hearings. At the last hearing, interlocutors were appointed. Senior advocate Sanjay Hegde was given charge along with another advocate to go and speak to the people of Sheinberg and figure out some way forward, because remember, they're blocking a key route between Delhi and Noida, and that's something that has been of a big concern to many Delhiites, and that's why the court has been petitioned asking for the court to order this protest to be cleared, because so far, remember, it was all about Delhi elections, and a lot of there was a lot of talk about Sheinberg by the BJP during their election campaigns, and about how this, you either vote for India or this Sheinberg and them and us sort of a narrative that was attempted to be weaved. But anyway, since then, of course, Kejriwal is back. But the matter is in the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court appointed these interlocutors who went and spoke to the people. And we do know that so far they have refused to clear the way, though perhaps there can be some sort of negotiations in terms of allowing one of the roads, because they blocked one particular road while the adjacent road is also been blocked but is not being used for as a protest site. It's being used perhaps for a little bit of art, etc. But that can be managed. So the interlocutors will be giving their report to the Supreme Court, but we're not going to get to see that report. It's going to remain not in the public eye, and so we'll have to wait and see what the Supreme Court says. The Supreme Court last time did say that it is a fundamental right to protest, but at the same time you can't endlessly block a road in this manner, because then there's no end to it. So we'll wait and see what happens. There was violence in Aligarh. This is when protesters who were protesting against the Citizenship Amendment Act were sitting on a similar protest, something like Sheinberg. Remember, there have been a lot of copycat protests, but they'd gone to the police to actually push for allowing tents to be erected at the protest site because of the weather, and the police said no, and there was some sort of clashes that broke out over there, and 8 people were injured. Some vehicles were set on fire. But what's disturbing is some videos have emerged that shows masked men, and there have been allegations of other people trying to infiltrate this entire matter at the time of tension, and creating this violence. So that is because one person has even got shot by a gun. He has a gunshot wound. The police say they haven't fired. So who fired that gun? So that is something that is controversial about Aligarh. And New Zealand beats India in Wellington, and that was a shock. And the captain there, Virat Kohli, saying that India wasn't competitive enough during this match. So let's talk about Trump's visit so far. And there's been a lot of talk between the president and Prime Minister Modi, and the president's often spoken about how he's very fond of Prime Minister Modi, and there was a lot of tweet exchanges also happening. And President Trump did arrive, in fact, a little ahead of time. He was expected at 11:45. He arrived around 11:40, and President Trump tweeted in Hindi, "हम भारत आने के लिए तत्पर हैं, हम रास्ते में हैं, कुछ ही घंटों में हम सबसे मिलेंगे." So very interesting to see the president there tweeting in Hindi, and the Prime Minister was quick to respond after that. This was around 10 o'clock, so he tweeted on his way, and the Prime Minister tweeted, "Atiti Devo Bhava," that means, our guests. And so interesting that guests are like God, or that we treat them like God. Guest is God. So, so this visit, it's going to be all that the media is going to be talking about over the next 2 days. It's a whirlwind visit, very significant that the president is coming with the first lady, his daughter Ivanka Trump, his son-in-law Jared Kushner. They're both advisors to the president, but it's interesting that the whole family is coming, and that is being seen as very significant for India as well, and the importance of India to Trump and to the United States. Though over there, of course, it's not being reported as much as it's being reported here in India. One of the reporters talking about Trump's India visit said there's not much, there's no big trade deal. That's something we know. There's no trade deal. There's no trade deal. There's not much going on here. But what there is are very large crowds. And that has been a big talking point ahead of the visit, with President Trump saying that he's been told there'll be 6 to 7 million people to greet him as he makes that, as he takes that road show between the airport and the big stadium, the Motera Stadium, where this big event will be held, a Namaste Trump event will be held. And all along the way he said, I'm expecting 6 to 7 million, and then at the last time he spoke of it during a rally in Colorado, he said 10 million people are going to be there in India to greet him during his visit. And he said, I'm going to be spoiled because I'll just be used to having millions and millions of people. Though we do know the administration in Ahmedabad has said it's not going to be millions, it's going to be 100,000 people, 1 lakh people all along the way. And yes, we saw crowds in some part, they were more concentrated, so there were crowds along the way. There was a lot of singing and dancing taking place as well all along the way of the president's route that he was taking. And so there you can see this was the sort of there's his motorcade making its way, a lot of billboards. There's been a lot of talk about how much has been spent on this visit, and how this 3-hour visit to Ahmedabad has seen some 80 crore rupees being spent on the preparations, on cleaning up the route, the painting, the walls being built. There was a controversy regarding the walls, a wall that was built to actually hide a slum that was there, and about whether this is the right thing to do. But all this now doesn't really matter. It's all noise. Also about the Samiti, this Trump Samiti, etc., that is organizing this event, Namaste Trump. So something very questionable and shady about that, because this Samiti has no website, nobody had heard of it. We only found out that the Samiti was organizing this event recently, and then we heard that it was that the mayor of Ahmedabad was a part of this. So here you can see some of the crowds and women carrying some pots on their heads there to greet the president as they make their way, but obviously nothing close to the millions and millions that are being expected. Now, let's just show you what has happened so far. The president arrived, and then he first went to the Sabarmati Ashram, Mahatma Gandhi's ashram in Ahmedabad. We do know that the US side wasn't very keen that the president make this visit, because it would have led to a diversion, and it would have it makes the whole way a lot longer. But India very, very keen that if the president is coming to Ahmedabad, he must visit Sabarmati Ashram. And so you got to see a visual like this. He was taken around the ashram by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, who was explaining everything to him. We saw a lot of animated conversation taking place, and then finally brought to this charkha, to this spinning wheel where Donald Trump and Melania Trump actually tried their hand at spinning at this charkha. So that was very interesting to see that the president trying his hand at the spinning wheel of Mahatma Gandhi. And that's of course something that's so iconic, and that visual of Mahatma Gandhi at his charkha. So now you have a visual of Donald Trump at the charkha trying his hand. We saw some official from the ashram also coming to try and sort of explain to the president what the entire procedure was. He seemed very interested. Melania seemed very, very interested as well, and we'll just bring up some of those visuals of the charkha and the president's visit there. And this is just as he arrived at the Sabarmati Ashram. There you can see being taken by Prime Minister Modi and the First Lady. And while they visited it, they did this tour with the Prime Minister. Later we saw the rest of the high-powered delegation, the contingent also going on.
Because yes, it was interesting. Apart from the broccoli samosa, what else was there?
There was a lot of talk about this menu, the high tea menu at this ashram visit, and there were some broccoli samosas that was on the menu. There was canned juices and Tetra Pak coconut water, which I was a little surprised by that, but perhaps it's because of the health issues and germs, and they don't want to have the president having any fresh juice. So this is what happened first. They garlanded this picture of Mahatma Gandhi. Then they went on for a tour inside. There you could see the Prime Minister showing them inside the ashram, and then they came out right at the end, where they then tried their hand at the charkha. So that is something visually quite interesting, having President Donald Trump there trying his hand at a charkha, something so familiar anytime you speak of Mahatma Gandhi. That's something that you do see about Mahatma Gandhi weaving khadi at his charkha. And there you have President Trump's tryst and the First Lady as well. They're at the charkha, and they were even explained how it works by the Prime Minister. And then you had some officials from the ashram, some people there coming and trying to show the president how it works and explaining to him. He seems quite interested, and the Prime Minister really talking about the charkha to him. Now, after he left, he was shown the visitor's logbook in which he wrote, and I was very, very curious, I have to say, to see what Donald Trump would write in the visitor's book at the ashram. And a little disappointed, I have to add, and surprised that President Trump, after visiting Mahatma Gandhi's ashram, Mahatma Gandhi, who all world leaders refer to, he's somebody who spoke about peace, and everybody admires him and praises him across the world, that after visiting his ashram, trying his hand at the charkha, President Trump didn't even mention Mahatma Gandhi. This is what he wrote in the logbook of the Sabarmati Ashram: to my great friend Prime Minister Modi, thank you for this wonderful visit. And he signed it, if you can make that out, and then the First Lady also signed it, and she also didn't have anything to add about Mahatma Gandhi. So there you have it. That was the visit to the Sabarmati Ashram, and there you can see this visual of the hug that took place just as they landed. And now they will be going to the Motera Stadium, which is the world's largest cricket stadium, where 100,000 people have gathered. And then the Namaste Trump event will take place. Both leaders will be addressing the crowd, so it will be interesting to see what they have to say. Well, that's all the time I have for you. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.